lose one's way. Thick fog fills the air, paths end without warning, dense thickets obscure the distance. The sole way to determine one's position is to climb a tree and peer out over the canopy. This duty fell to Meave's scouts, while the force halted below. During one such delay, Meave caught the words she'd longed to hear.
Majesty! Tuzla Castle! Its tower! I see it!
To her soldiers' astonishment, Meave cast off her gauntlets and started up the nearest trunk. She longed to see the castle for herself, but then she would know sweet vengeance was at hand. The climb proved tricky, as the trunk was slippery and the branches, run through with rot, were frail. Yet Meave showed herself to be skillful and spry. As a child, she had loved to scale trees, much to her governess' dismay. Meave looked out to see a mighty stone tower outlined against the horizon. Legend holds Tuzla Castle was to have had 3 such bastions. Yet King Ragbard, the fort's benefactor, had forsaken the effort when yet another stone transport simply sank into Angren's boggy roads. It was a moment of respite for Meave, a moment of quiet joy. She breathed and tasted air free of the bog stench. She took in silence undisturbed by the hum of mosquito swarms. And she relished her prospects. The coming battle against Caldwell. The soldiers stood exhausted and filthy, many with raspy coughs, all sick of the meager gruel. But with the command to advance, a new strength sparked within them. Their step was lively, a fire burned in their eyes, each hoping to spill Caldwell's entrails, then dash them upon the fort walls. Yet as they drew near the stronghold, perched atop a stone isle, their verve dwindled, enthusiasm waned. They had taken fortresses with thicker walls, taller towers, and manned by more men. Yet they'd never seen nor laid siege to a fort standing on land so ill-suited. To rush the bulwarks through waist-deep mud. Was this even possible?
Prove I was no fool to keep you at my side,
said Meave, turning to Gascon and Reynard.
A slaughter I must avoid. How will I do it?
Your Grace,
began Reynard.
set our machines to sling boulders. At the west wall, it's weakest. 'Tis our best chance at a breach.
Our men'll need cover,
added Gascon.
Reeds we must harvest and burn. Smoke will cloak us, conceal us from the castle's defenders.
Good,
agreed the Queen.
Now get to work.
Amidst billowing blue smoke, Lyrian footmen rushed through the breach wrought by Reynard's catapults. Though she had yet to forgive her companions, Meave had to admit they'd given her sound advice.
Caldwell, I've come for your head.
I knew you'd come. Your lofty pride presages another dramatic fall.
Tell me you jest.
Give me a time.
I never miss.
Our ballista at your command.
Let's dance!
Everything all right?
Target acquired.
Feel any burning? See a local healer or wise woman.
So much anger and suffering. For what?
Quick and painful this'll be. Their archers shouldn't be any more trouble.
Don't you worry yourself, Your Grace. We'll get her done in no time.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful.
John. march on. For the Queen! God save the Queen!
No one touch him! The Count is mine!
Many of Maeve's victories have been immortalized in poetry and song, but not the fall of Tuzla. Lyrians fought Lyrians. Brothers killed brothers, in rain and mud, midst a cursed swamp. Certainly nothing to inspire a bard. Near the battle's end, Maeve stormed the great stone tower to which Caldwell had fled. The Queen ascended the stairs, dealing blow after blow, blood cascading down in her wake. She reached the top floor to find the Count waiting, with no intention to defend himself.
If it's mercy you expect, you'll be sorely disappointed.
Mercy? I know you all too well for that, Maeve. Ever vindictive and cruel.
All this from a paragon of knightly virtues. You stabbed me in the back, Caldwell, and used Willem to do so. My son!
Who agreed without a moment's hesitation? Forsaken by your own son, your flesh and blood. What's that say about you?
Oh, you tread on thin ice. Choose your next words carefully.
Spare me your threats. You'll kill me all the same.
Death can come in many ways, Count. Some quick, some slow.
My, how you strut and vaunt. Terribly sure of yourself. Perhaps too sure.
Your castle is mine. I've crushed your force. I dare say no, I'm not.
Precisely my point. Don't you see? The Empire's not one army, it's dozens, hundreds. It's what I strove to knock into that thick dome of yours. Alas, you're too much a dullard. Soon as I'd learned you'd crossed into Angren, I sent for reinforcements. They'll be here soon. 3 regiments, armed to the teeth.
Nilfgaardians seem ever to have the upper hand, yet I find the means to defeat them.
Not this time, Maeve. Nilfgaard comes in numbers. 10 Imperial footmen to each and every one of yours. You'll not win, nor can you flee. Do you know why?
Enlighten me. I dare you.
But one bridge leads to Tuzla. As it happens, I ordered it raised as you laid siege. The swamps around the castle are too deep to cross. Try to rebuild the bridge, the Imperial troops will arrive before you can finish. Your men they'll slay as you watch, and then they'll wring your neck.
I wouldn't be so pleased were I you. You won't live to see this outcome.
I know that, but I take heart in the truth. Though the castle you've seized and will likely kill me, I've won. Outsmarted you, Maeve. Twice now. And you know what? 'Twasn't even that hard.
With those words, with his arrogance and contempt, Caldwell had gone too far. The Queen gripped his shoulders, pushed. Caldwell stumbled backwards, then tripped out the window. A blood-chilling shriek filled the courtyard, then broke off abruptly.
Now fool me thrice. Try.
Maeve slapped the dust from her hands. The traitor had met a deserving end at last. Yet this was no time to revel in the Count's demise. If Caldwell had spoken the truth, the Queen and her army were in grave danger. Maeve's scouts quickly confirmed the traitor's claim. The bridge was indeed in flames, and Nilfgaardian regiments were advancing from the south. Now to confirm if there was truly no other route by which they could flee. The Queen ordered her men to ask the local peasants. One of their number, a stable hand who'd lived near Tuzla all his life, claimed a secret path led out the back of the stronghold.
King Ragbard himself ordered it built. Had him drop great stones into its swamp, one after another, like beads on a string. Bitter water covers them, so you can't see nowt at start. Can make 'em out if you go proper slow, though.
What is it?
The stones, they lead to Isgith. And there, my lady, lurks an evil worse nor any black-clad army.
What? A beast of some sort?
Some say beast, others god. Gurnikora, they call her. And you'll yet see, my lady. Isgith shines red with her blood.
A silly tale to frighten children, Maeve thought at first, then paused. for something about the man's voice made his every word believable.
None too encouraging, yet preferable to certain death. Tell me, from Iskith, will we reach the banks of the Yaruga, near Red Lobenden perchance?
Aye, your majesty. You need but head north. And pray all along the way.
Soon, Meve stood where the stable hand had said she should, at the edge of a vast marsh. Carefully, she dipped a foot into the broth and probed for solid ground. Sure enough, she found stone. One cautious step, then another. Meve slowly strode off towards Isgith. With the path to Isgith hidden from view, Meve proceeded like one blind, moving solely by touch. With each step, she could not know if she would find rock or plunge beneath the black water's surface. The Queen's soldiers followed single file, carefully mirroring her every move. The Lyrians, near the end of their strength, got lucky when a light breeze dispersed the fog to reveal dry land. The Queen let out a sigh of relief.
At last.
Meve kicked off her boots to empty them of water and mud, then promptly screamed. Her legs were in leeches, slimy, bloated leeches. Ignoring the pain and trickling blood, she frantically tore them from her legs, wishing to be rid of them. Having plucked the last parasite from her calf, Meve grabbed her boot to crush the bloodsucker beneath her heel. Yet it had already slithered off. She spotted it on the trunk of a birch where, like a very fast snail, it was climbing.
What the devils?
But Meve's words caught in her throat. Leeches and ticks in the dozens dangled from the tree's branches. Some were so gorged on blood that their skin was translucent and on the point of bursting. Meve had some difficulty muting the urge to retch. The Queen stepped back, finding it hard to believe what hung before her eyes, confused as to what it all meant.
This could hurt.
Nothing personal, I assure you.
Again and again and again.
We must trust each other.
We got a job to do.
Dive it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Death is only the beginning!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
Can't take it anymore.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Oh, shame to let this beauty go to waste. Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
can try to win them all, but you won't.
Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs.
The Lyrians marched in silence, too tired to keep in step with the drums. Suddenly, the wind rose to a howl, and there was a loud crash of thunder.
Blast!
Meve leapt from her saddle.
We camp here. Pitch the tents, quickly! Quickly!
As the soldiers rushed to unload the wagons, a wall of water came down, soaking them to the bone. Later, they sat in their leaky tents, huddled, teeth chattering, violent coughs rocking their frames. The storm raged the night through, then finally passed before dawn. Meve emerged from her tent to wring out her coat. Reynard approached, his gait heavy, his face grim.
Your Majesty, several men of the 11th, a dozen or so, sought to flee last night. Sentries stopped and bound them. Now they await your judgment.
Meve fastened her still wet coat. She knew well why the men had tried to desert. They longed for their kin, had lost sight of victory. Perhaps even no longer believed. Yet the marching and fighting seemed destined to go on forever. The Queen sympathized. She too was spent, and many doubts plagued her. Yet she knew the deserters had to be punished. The question was, to what extent? Meve entered the tent where the prisoners stood. Some of the men looked away, ashamed at their deed. Others raised their gazes to meet hers, their eyes red, tearful, pleading.
You all know the penalty for desertion.
Meve said to the soldiers bound at wrist and foot.
I ought to have every last one of you hanged. Yet, we've come far along a treacherous road. Endured hardships extreme. This I considered against your crime. You shall lose rank and receive no pay for 1 year. Now get out of my sight. Immediately!
The deserters mumbled their gratitude and rushed out of the tent, fearing the Queen might yet change her mind. Meve then left for her quarters, anger and bitterness eating her up from the inside.
Give me a target. Our ballista at your command. Armor won't serve. One bolt. Give me a target. Our ballista at your command. Armor won't serve.
Go.
Elven blarney.
An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Pointy end upwards, right?
Nothing personal, I assure you.
Wanna know why I've got my scar?
So much anger and suffering. For what?
We must trust each other.
Give me a target.
My scars? No. They don't hurt.
The morrow ale drink with our forefathers!
Wait, you're serious?
Make love, not war.
While accustomed to life mid swamp monsters and black magic, Angren's denizens never dared enter Isgith. The Lyrians only once saw signs of a human presence there, when they spotted a group of thatched roof huts amongst alders.
That settlement, is it inhabited?
Meve asked, turning to her scouts.
Impossible to say from this distance, Your Grace.
The Lyrians entered the village, swords in hand, prepared to fight. But not a soul nor a beast came forth. Some homes had collapsed from rot, while tall grass concealed the paths between them. Yet, someone had been there not long past, for fresh ghoul cadavers lay by the well. Meve knelt beside the corpse of one cut clear in half. The beast's killer had been exceptionally strong, and wielded a razor-sharp sword.
More likely to come around.
Meve leapt to her feet. A man in thick leather armor had emerged from one of the huts. Transfixed by his cat eyes, the Queen nonetheless sensed he was rather badly hurt.
Were that true, my scouts would have blown their horns.
The man pulled out a pendant shaped like a bear's head. It hummed and twitched as if striving to free itself of its chain.
Far as monsters go,
he said, lips curling into an unpleasant smile.
Witchers aren't usually wrong.
A moment later, a scream pierced the air. Quickly, instinctively, Meve drew her sword and lunged forth.
Approach! Seems you were right.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Course I'll manage. I gained a full week.
again and again and again.
I feel a strong magic here, my lady. Something controls these creatures.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Tell me you jest.
Water is the poison.
Give me some of that.
Come on, kill me!
Greetings. What is it? If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Pissing in the moat? Oh, dead.
I'd hoped we could solve this some other way.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
That'll be the last of them. Should be quiet for a bit.
The Lyrians emerged victorious, due in no small part to the Witcher.
Thanks for the help. Name's Ivo, Witcher, School of the Bear.
Meve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia.
Well, well. Didn't expect to see anyone out here. And certainly not a queen with an army in tow.
We're not here by choice.
I bet not. No one plans to pass through Isgith.
And you? What's brought you here? A contract, perchance?
That's right. Hunting a monster.
I know your service is to be rather dear. Who could afford a witcher's bounty in these wretched swamps?
Nilfgaardians.
Blast, of course. Preparing the land for settlement. Cull the monsters, drain the swamp, then bring in slaves. Doubtless from the north.
Maybe. I got paid in advance. I didn't see the need to ask any questions.
But did you have to take the coin? Don't you see what they're doing?
Forgive me, your majesty, but seems to me you're confusing witchers with knights-errant. We don't fight oppression, right wrongs, or avenge orphans. We slay monsters for coin. And it don't matter whose head's on the front or whose coffers it's from.
This beast you're out to slay, what is it?
Hang on. You mean to tell me you've led your force into Isgith and don't even know what lives here?
I believe I was clear. We're not here by choice.
Yeah, but now that you are here, it'll take a minor miracle to get you out. Isgith's swamps, realm of a truly dangerous being. Elves call it Thronebreaker, the Bloody Mistress. Over generations, locals twisted the name until it became Guernicora.
Indeed. I've heard it.
So you've also probably seen her beloved fruit. Leeches and ticks. You'd all be wise to stay away from them.
This Guernicora, what is she exactly?
Depends who you ask. Elves saw a fallen goddess in her. Never managed to cut her down while they lived here, but they did stem her growth, kept her from growing stronger. As for the local humans, spirit of a cursed princess, that's their take. Deep belief, actually.
Care to elaborate?
Stories that she was riding north to marry a Temerian duke. Whole retinue and caravan got lost, wagons got stuck, everybody drowned in the bog. Quicksand got him, that sort of thing. Guernicora grabbed a root before the quagmire swallowed her whole. Hollered for hours. But there wasn't a soul around to hear her. Leeches. Hundreds covered her. Settled in for a royal feast. Sucked her dry. Drained her to pretty much the last drop. Fear and revulsion so completely overcame her spirit, she couldn't pass into the afterlife. So she came back, revived by Isgith's magic.
Ugh. A chilling tale.
Yeah. Except made up, probably. Don't believe the elven legends either. Guernicora's a monster, plain and simple. Extremely dangerous, sure. But just a monster.
The leeches and ticks, you called them her fruit.
It's kinda complicated.
We've time enough.
Guernicora's a little like a vampire. They're kindred creatures. Except, instead of feasting on the blood of others, she feeds them her own.
I'm not certain I understand.
They're parasites, right? She puts them on her body, feeds them her own blood. Then hangs them on shrubs and trees.
Ugh. To what end?
To other monsters, they're delicacies. Sweet, juicy, full of Guernicora's blood. Irresistible. Any beast that tastes that loses its mind, turns into Guernicora's slave. So, if your paths cross and push comes to shove, she's not gonna be alone. Find yourself fighting the whole damn swamp.
How are we to fight her? How might she be killed?
Sorry, sharing secrets. Just not something we do.
Not even with those who saved your life just moments past.
We gotta wait till she starts feeding the parasites. She's weakest then. Stand a chance to hurt her.
Right. So we attack only once she puts the leeches to her skin.
Yeah. And when you kill her, if you kill her, any beasts under her spell will weaken considerably. And then, you gotta burn her corpse. I mean it, understand? Burn it.
And you? Will you not hunt her any longer?
No, I will. Just need to prepare. Realized that today. Gotta brew some potions, blade oils. Come back in a few days.
I don't even have that much time. Nilfgaard's hordes pursue us. I must march on.
In that case, Wish you luck. Lots of it.
I suppose there's no argument that would persuade you to ride with us.
Your Grace, mutations strip us of emotion, not reason.
The Witcher vanished midst the trees. And Meve simply hoped her soldiers had not overheard any part of their conversation. Caldwell had summoned Nilfgaardian support. Meve assumed they were not far behind. Yet in the unforgiving terrain, a full Nilfgaardian division could not hope to close the gap. Small detachments, however, light cavalry or footmen, could very well do just that. So when black-clad men emerged from the mist, the Queen was not surprised. She ordered her troops to fall in, form up, and brace to defend the line. Yet the attack never came. The invaders stood silent, motionless, and Meve got a closer look. They were slouched, ashen-faced, unsure of step, and covered in sores. Isgith had treated them as cruelly as any. Teetering in his saddle, the commander broke formation. He rode forth and addressed the Queen in fluent common tongue.
Half my men are wounded, the others sick. Your force does not fare much better.
True. Yet we outnumber you soundly.
Indeed. If it comes to combat, you are certain to win. But in this damn swamp, all wounds fester. Flesh is quick to rot. You will lose many more apart from those who fall.
What do you mean, precisely?
Asked the Queen, her eyes narrowing, her head tilted to the side.
We should part ways in peace. There's a war on, there'll be another chance to fight. Perhaps even face one another. But not here. And not like this. Suddenly unsure, the Queen weighed the officer's words. Their logic was sound, though they could also prove a ruse.
Your Grace.
Xavier's voice came from behind Meve's back.
We can't let them pass. They've done only harm, and they'll not stop and go home.
Alas, I see things differently.
Meve said with a sly smile.
Crush you now, and I'll have fewer to fight down the line.
You seem sure of yourself, milady.
Let me show you why. At them!
Meve...
We will not surrender without a fight!
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
As good as dead, that lot.
Is that really necessary?
Praise be to the great sun!
Something from nothing? It's exactly what I do.
We'll catch 'em all!
Notice! All roads lead to Nilfgaard! God is free!
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful.
Off to the front yet again.
It's not too late to walk away.
Quiet! The Commissar will hear.
Of course I'll manage. I gained a full week.
Brach! Scheiß! In time!
My scars? No, they don't hurt.
They spoke the truth. You show no mercy. No mercy.
Amidst the fog and dense, gnarled forest, the battle ran its course. When the last sounds of fighting had died down, Meve was not sure who'd prevailed. Then soldiers came forth, fatigued and hurt, with smiles on their lips. She saw they were hers, and only then knew victory was hers as well. But this was no time to celebrate. She let everyone rest, then gave the order to resume the march. A great Nilfgaardian force pursued them. This most recent delay had allowed it to draw nearer.
Watch your heads!
Left, right, left, right.
Off to the front yet again.
We got a job to do.
Is he in the moat? Oh, he's dead.
Ludicrous! Give me some of that.
Cursed traitors.
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
The Lyrian force had reached the very heart of Isgith. From every branch, vine, and shrub hung leeches and ticks by the dozen. Swollen with blood, their abdomens glistened, glowing red in the misty air so putrid it set Maeve's head to spinning. She paused at a moss-covered boulder, pressed her flushed forehead against its cool surface. Her soldiers passed by, pallid, filthy, drained. She wished to say something, lift their spirits. But instead a cough rattled her breast. Suddenly, splashes all around Maeve in the water, as if a rain of fist-sized drops had begun to fall. The Queen lifted her heavy gaze. Seemingly on command, ticks and leeches dropped into the warm, soupy waters, then clumsily wriggled off toward a dead alder grove. Maeve knew at once what skulked behind the trees. Gurnikora, Isgith's mistress, Isgith's queen.
Weapons at the ready!
The Queen roared.
Close ranks!
The Lyrians quickly converged, formed a wall of shields, and crouched behind them. Terrified, they stared as a multitude of eyes flashed open midst the branches, while revolting, muck-covered beasts rose from the gurgling waters around. Maeve silently uttered a prayer. Hail, Military, great mother, maiden, and crone, ever have us in your care.
Rally to me!
Greetings. What is it?
Majesty! These parasites, they feed on her blood!
How quickly the scales tip.
I only loot corpses, except sometimes they're quite fresh.
These ghastly beasts can be slain. They can be overcome. Remember that unwarranted arrogance kills, slowly and insidiously.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Death is only the beginning!
I believe it's dead.
Of the battle in Isgith, Meve remembered very little. It seemed a nightmare, its details a haze, the sensations very real. Midst a thick fog, she fought in a frenzy, desperately hacking at the scourge that advanced from all sides. In the end, silence fell over the swamp. Its boiling waters lay calmed. The ticks and leeches were gone, while Guernicora lay among rotting leaves, covered in blood, unmoving. But still a fearsome sight.
Burn the corpse,
Rasped the queen.
and we move on.
The soldier's eyes darted about in a series of silent glances. It took Meve a moment to realize the difficulty. They still feared it. Though the monster's lifeless body lay on the ground, they dared not go near. Were she to repeat the order, they would carry it out. Yet she did not wish to force that on them. Swallowing her own revulsion, she walked up to Guernicora's corpse and set it alight. The air soon filled with the suffocating stench of burning hair and flesh. Sparks belched out as melting fat fell on flame. Until finally, nothing was left of the bloody mistress but scorched bone. The Lyrians resumed their march towards the banks of the Yaruga. They forced their weary legs to maintain a swift pace, and stole no second glance at what they'd left behind. One day, the quartermaster approached with news to report. Alas, bad news.
Your Grace, our food stocks have near run out. And about villages, folk have naught to spare, not even to trade.
The Queen dispatched small groups of scouts. They were to scour the countryside for hunting camps, beekeepers, charcoal burners, any souls willing to trade food for coin or goods. The first scouts came back around dusk. The last 3 detachments returned not at all. At first, Meve suspected they'd fallen prey to monsters, the beastly or Nilfgaardian kind. Later, she learned the men had left naught of their belongings behind. She'd been soft-hearted toward deserters. This lot decided they, too, would give it a try. That night, Meve lay still but sleepless. Beneath thin covers, she was cold, hungry, irate. Towering alders grow thick in Isgith, their crowns weaving an expansive canopy that obscures the sky. Any sunbeams to slip through this twisted thicket scatter in the milky mist below. Thus the marsh abides in a state of perpetual twilight, wherein a sense of time and direction are easily. As the force moved along, a glow appeared in the trees. The Lyrians squinted, their mouths agape in wonder. An orb hung over the water, pulsating, humming. It circled the soldiers, darted off a distance, then hovered as if waiting.
A will-o'-the-wisp, that is,
whispered one of the footmen.
Believe it's keen to show us something.
Meve knew the wisp could prove treacherous, lead them into a trap. Nonetheless, she followed, though not entirely certain why. Her soldiers seemed eager. She sensed they approved. Yet she was also simply curious.
We follow it. Carefully. Weapons at the ready.
As the wisp led the Lyrians down a narrow, winding path, Meve surveyed her surroundings warily. Beads of sweat emerged, for at the path's end, the troops found what appeared to be a caravan's remains. Its wagons, rot-eaten, half-buried in the bog, had sat there for decades, perhaps longer. Despite this, gilded panels and scraps of silver-threaded fabric showed they'd once been rather ornate. Inside the wagons, the soldiers discovered many steel crates. Rust-covered but intact, they contained truly dazzling treasures. Sacks bulging with gold coin, pearl-encrusted goblets, exotic velvets and silks in beads.
Blimey, the sheer amount. And here of all places.
A footman muttered under his breath. Meave quickly pieced it all together. She too had once ridden in such a caravan, splendid and laden with gold, when she'd left her home to marry. The rest of the story was not difficult to divine. This was a maiden's dowry. She and her retinue lost their way. Isgith proved their grave, unbeknownst to any other. The wisp circled Meave's party, blinked several times, then faded into thin air. The troops resumed their march, and all seemed in order. Seemed, for soon several footmen were discovered to be gone. Green.
Doubt I'll ever pay off these school loans.
Not supposed to be any smoke.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. The chase is on!
Think I have a beer? Stop your yapping and start digging.
My pain serves a purpose.
Yeah! Ho! Yeah! Ho! Yeah! Ho! Ho! Yeah! Ah! Ho! Yeah! Ah! Ho! Ah! Yeah! Ah! Ho! Ah! Yeah! Yeah!
In evading Nilfgaard's banners, Meve led her force into Angren's wildest reaches. The foe could not attack the Lyrians there, yet hazards of another sort befell them. One day they reached a quagmire too vast and deep to ford. So the Queen summoned her engineer, Xavier, and called on him to build a makeshift bridge. By nightfall, he had drawn up plans.
We shall start by laying abutments, then drive piles into the mire.
The depth?
We dropped plumb lines. 4 L's.
Confused by the plans, Meve did not see as Xavier slipped a line off his shoulder. By the time she felt it on her throat, she feared it might be too late.
I long awaited this moment, when we would be alone. You die now, Majesty, and with you dies Lyria's, the whole North will to resist. Hail, Ketzer, hail!
What died was the Nilfgaardian rallying cry in Xavier's throat. At the last instant, Gascon and Reynard rushed in to save the warrior queen, and thus proved their loyalty beyond any doubt.
Your Grace! Your Grace!
There was no answer, but Reynard could hear her breathe. Meve would live. It was several hours later when Meve finally came to. She opened her eyes, then Gascon and Reynard helped her to her feet.
Careful, Your Majesty.
I should have been more careful earlier. Damn it. If you two hadn't...
No need for words. You needn't mention it.
I couldn't disagree more. We're due for a long conversation. First of all, I owe you thanks. Second, my trust in you both has been heavily tarnished. I believe that goes without saying. Yet today you proved beyond all doubt that I can rely on you. So I thank you.
To serve under your banner, Majesty, it is an honor.
Likely I'd have put it differently, but Reynard seems to have the right idea.
Very well. We've reassured ourselves of admiration for one another enough. We've matters to which we must attend. I trust as I lay there dead to the world, you did not sit about with your thumbs up your bums. Have you at least learned why Xavier betrayed us, sided with the Empire?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Your Grace, the rogue who lunged at you, in truth, was one Gwalter ep Lwynoch, a Nilfgaardian spy.
Just a moment, that makes no sense. He saved my life in Mahakam, on the bridge.
He did, for he had to.
In one of the letters we found, Ep Dahi orders Gwalter to watch over Elder-in-Chief Hoog. The Scoia'tael in the mountains was sent there by Nilfgaard to recruit dwarves, but their commander, the Vixen, they feared she'd attack Bruva himself, something Ep Dahi wished to avoid.
Naturally. For someone else could seize power. Someone not so neutrally inclined. Someone more likely to aid me, gods forbid. This discovery you made how?
We found in his toolbox a concealed compartment, letters inside. Though encrypted, we managed to decipher them. They were the Grey Rider for you to read.
The swine. An Imperial spy in my ranks this whole time. But to wait so long to strike, why?
He'd only just received the order. Another letter in the box, signed by General Eb Dahi, stated, "To Gwalter ep Luinoch. Eliminate M at first opportunity."
Honourless bastards. They'll stop at nout.
Now, Maeve, you'll gain nout by getting riled. No sense to it. This is good news, in fact.
Is that so?
Think. Ep Dahi had a spy in our midst. He knew our movements, had his eye on us, his finger on the pulse. He knew our plans, who we parlayed with, and yet he didn't order your assassination. For you posed no threat. Well, clearly something's changed. Congratulations. Nilfgaard fears you now.
And rightly so. But we found him in the rubble at Rosberg, midst the ashes.
Precisely what placed him beyond suspicion.
We suspect Walter enlisted with the Edanians some years past, infiltrated that army.
He had a hand in Rosberg's defence. Then, when the time was right, he lent that same hand to its demise. Caused an explosion that tore a hole through its walls. It worked, but at a price. He suffered severe burns. If not for our medics, he'd have...
Stop. So it was not elves who brought about the fort's fall as he claimed?
A filthy lie to stoke the fires of racial hatred. To stir conflict and chaos and rage that would make the realm of Edirn waver and fall.
If we're to judge by Rayla's actions, he was right.
Bastard. Yet even so badly hurt, in such pain, not for a moment did he drop his mummer's act.
I've heard much of Nilfgaardian spies, Your Grace. They're trained from childhood, face constant indoctrination. They do anything for the Emperor, anything and everything. As soon as Gwalter spotted a chance to join our ranks, to be at your side, he took it, exploited it ably.
To be brief, I've traitors all about me.
Your Grace.
You, Willem, the Cad Caldwell, Gascon, Gabor, finally Xavier. Tell me how. How am I to trust anyone?
You can't. Amongst all the realms in the north, you're Nilfgaard's sole rival. One remaining threat. All other rulers, either soundly defeated and enchained, or tails tween their legs, they've donned Nilfgaard's leash. The Black-Clads will do all to destroy you, if not upon the field, then in secret, with an assassin and a quick, sharp buck.
What's left? Prayer? Melitele too is sure to turn and take Nilfgaardian gold sooner or later. Ugh. We've talked enough. We must form up. Move on.
Majesty, you ought to rest. You stand swaying. Your step can't be too sure.
Only my horse needs step true.
Maeve, you've just about had the life choked out of you. No time to play the hero.
I'm not Gascon. Quite the opposite, actually. These damn swamps, they terrify me. I wish to get the hell out and never, ever look back.
The Aruga lies near. I sent scouts ahead. They've secured a barge. We can sail to Red Lobington.
Splendid. Sound the horns. We march.
Sandflies and mosquitoes blanketed Maeve's face and neck. She did not bother to brush them away. She'd been in Angren long enough to know more would come in their place.
Your Majesty.
Reynard called from behind.
Our scouts have returned. We've a large force of blackclads on our tail, infantry and horsemen, and they draw nearer.
Blast!
Maeve wiped away the sweaty hair stuck to her brow.
What say you, Reynard? Shall we give them a fight?
We're but a few miles from the river, where a barge awaits. It makes no sense to battle now.
Though near her strength's end, Maeve stepped up her pace. She could not wait to stand upon a barge deck and leave Angren's infernal bogs behind. Alas, in place of the promised vessel, they found only severed moorings.
No! No, it can't be!
Suddenly, Maeve drove her fist into the trunk of the nearest tree. Fortunately, a soft and rotted one.
This isn't so!
Your Grace, have mercy. I stepped away but for a spell.
Croaked a scout, pale as a ghost.
Thieves jumped out the underbrush, fell upon it. Whole band of them. A white-haired warrior, a minstrel, and a lass what had a bow.
Well, is that all?
Interrupted Gascon.
No vampire sat upon an ass with no saddle? You're cocked up, man, damn it. Maeve, what now?
The Queen turned back towards the swamp. Between the trees, she glimpsed a golden sun glimmering upon a banner.
We shall discuss that later,
said the Queen, drawing her sword.
provided we survive.
This could hurt.
One boat.
My disgrace ends here! Time I wiped it away!
Alba!
Ever had your kneecaps broken?
Doubt I'll ever pay off these school loans.
Hi-ho, hi-ho!
Watch your heads!
Give me a time.
Oh, be ashamed to let this beauty go waste.
Very gloire!
I'd hoped we could solve this some other way.
Nice too.
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Yes.
Hail, Kerzer! Near the battle's end, Meve faced a black-clad officer. Nimbly dodging his strike, she countered. The Queen's sword sank deep, the hilt rattling his breastplate. A rush of hot blood covered Meve's hands. The winged helmet toppled from the officer's head, exposing a sweaty face, gasping for breath.
Nin! When?
Before the Queen stood a ruddy-haired boy with long eyelashes. He was Willem's age, perhaps a bit older. His body slumped, then disappeared beneath the malodorous foam atop the murky waters. Meve cast away her sword as if it had burned her hand.
Majesty, what is it? Are you hurt?
Reynard said, rushing to her side.
No, I'm not. It's fine. Give the order to march. With no barge, we must walk to Red Lobington along the riverbank.
Your Majesty, we must tend to the wounded. Use the rest of the day, I wager.
We ain't time enough for that.
Interjected Gascon.
That was but the vanguard sent in pursuit to slow us down. And even so, they outnumbered us 2 to 1. What happens when the main force arrives? We must flee. Now.
And abandon the injured, to bleed to death in the mud.
Alas, Reynard, yes. Unless you'd rather we stayed and died with them.
Gascon is right. Should Nilfgaard close the distance between us, we'll stand little chance.
Phew. At least you've the sense to...
But I would sooner perish than let my men rot in this accursed swamp. The medics will tend to all the wounded. Then, what will be, will be.
I tell you what'll be.
Snarled Gascon.
Ep Dai'll take a butcher's hook and gut you. Then hang you from Lyria capital's walls. Yet, if this be your wish...
Meve waited for the medics to sew the last stitch, tie off the last bandage. Only then did she order her force to move out. At the column's end, upon stretchers, lay those without the strength to walk, consumed by fever, dazed or unconscious, dying. Fatigued and laden with the wounded, the Lyrians moved slow as molasses. Soon, Nilfgaard's forward elements had caught up. The Blackclads nipped at the Lyrians' tail with arrow volleys from the cover of trees and occasional forays by cavalry. They were in no hurry. They could torment their foes, weaken their spirit before the final clash. At long last, Meave spotted a dark form spanning the river's course, Red Lobendon's Bridge. Just a brief stretch more, and the Lyrians would find themselves beyond the invaders' grasp, free and clear of bogs, and the beasts that prowled them. Yet joy at this sight soon gave way to despair. The bridge was dark, black, from the horde of Nilfgaardians that held it. Clearly the Blackclads had divined the path of Meave's flight, and had cut off her last means of escape.
That's it. We're dead men. All! They'll cut us down to the last!
Meave shut her eyes, felt them sting with fatigue. She knew when she turned she could not show her men 1 ounce of fear, 1 pinch of doubt. She gripped her reins tightly. The leather dug into her skin, helping her hold back her tears. And when the Queen finally spoke, her voice was strong and boomed over the river's roar.
I know what you wish to hear.
The Queen began.
That the gods watch over us. That we'll come through the fray unharmed. That a friendly force is but moments away. Those would be lies. The truth is as bitter as it is undeniable. We stand cornered. Cannot win this fight. Cannot flee it. We can but choose how to die. Hanged from the boughs like common criminals. Or weapons in hand, like the fighters we are. I've made my choice. Time you made yours!
With that cry, Meave broke for the bridge toward a forest of spears into a deluge of arrows. She let the tears fall from her eyes. Tears of rage, fear, fatigue. It was not until she'd almost reached the enemy line that she dared glance backward. And she saw she was not alone.
Defend the Queen! Valyria!
Barbarians.
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful.
I'll relieve you of that pouch.
Brach! Scheiß! In time!
We may die here today, but not on our hands and knees!
May the Screer's hands here! Time I wiped it away!
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! We're friend, not foe!
Damn it, just gets better and better.
To the bridge! Cut the way back to the bridge! Bolster the defense! Eddard Fane!
catch!
My boots got sand aplenty in them.
Cursed traitors.
I warned you.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Excellent, Seifel! Hey, don't toss that. It's perfectly usable.
That was not in the spell books.
We'll put Mahakam boots to Imperial arses!
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
What now?
Your Majesty, no!
I've lost my tooth. Full of a hole.
Again and again and again.
Greetings. What is it?
Fall back! Below it!
Meve was victorious on the banks of the Yaruga, but paid dearly for it. She lost a host of men and suffered harm herself. Yet she'd have been doomed, if not for a certain white-haired witcher. Meve longed to meet her mysterious savior and set off in search of him as soon as the battle dust had settled. She found him with the field surgeon and learned he was none other than the Witcher Geralt. Yes, incredible as it may seem, I've heard the tale from several and can vouch for its truth. At any rate, making note of the fact that Geralt's ears were ringing from a blow with a mace, Meve began immediately to interrogate him.
Uther, famed Woodbridge?
Asked Meve, prodding him insistently. For a spell, Geralt worried his hearing was shot, but then realized the Queen had a lisp.
Worked out that way, I guess.
You guess?
Meve gagged on the blood in her mouth.
Someone hold me!
The Queen felt Geralt merited the highest honor, a knighthood. Another monarch might have delayed until a more opportune time, but not Meve. Meve delayed nothing.
Count Odo, you, sir, do the honors. Alas, I cannot because of my tooth.
For valor shown in battle, I, Meve, by the gods' grace, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, hereby do knight thee.
Geralt of place unknown. The bridge you felled with men from Rivia. Or so you guess. I guess it falls to me to dub thee Geralt of Rivia.